Good Friday may be the most moving holiday, more than Christmas, more than Easter, because it's a holiday about despair. So Eric Anderson on X posted a wonderful sermon by a preacher in Cleveland, Ohio, named Alistair Begg, and I had never heard of him, which is on me. People are always saying to me when they get angry at me, they say, "I never heard of you," and I think, why is your ignorance my problem? And so my ignorance is not Alistair Begg's problem, but he is an excellent preacher, judging by this clip posted by Anderson. And what he's talking about is when you get to heaven, if you think the reason you are in heaven is because of something you did, you are wrong. It is not because of something you did. It was something that was done for you. And he talks about the thief, one of the thieves who were on the cross. Christ was crucified. There were 3 crosses. In the center was Jesus Christ. On one side was a thief, and on the other side was a thief. And one of these thieves, I think he's named by tradition Ditmas, but that is just tradition. That's not in the Bible. And one of them mocks him. One of the thieves mocks Jesus, and the Ditmas says, "No, let me, please remember me when you get to your reward." And Christ turns to him and says, "On this day, you will be with me in paradise." And he says, and this is what Alistair Begg, this is a little bit of a long clip, but it's worth listening to. This is what Alistair Begg says about the thief who went to heaven.
Think about the thief on the cross. And what an immense, I can't wait to find that fellow one day to ask him, how did that shake out for you? Because you were cussing the guy out with your friend. You've never been in a Bible study. You never got baptized. You didn't know a thing about church membership, and yet you made it. You made it. How did you make it? That's what the angel must have said. Like, what are you doing here? Well, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, because I don't know. Well, excuse me, let me get my supervisor. They go get the supervisor ranger. So, wait, just a few questions for you. First of all, are you clear on the doctrine of justification by faith? The guy said, "I never heard of it in my life." And what about? Let's just go to the doctrine of Scripture immediately. This guy's just staring, and eventually, in frustration, he says, "On what basis are you here?" And he said, "The man on the middle cross said, I can come." Now, that is the only answer.
That's the only answer. Amazing, moving sermon. Good Friday may be the most moving holiday for me, more than Christmas, more than Easter, because it's a holiday about despair. We know the ending of the story. If we read ahead, we know the ending of the story, but they didn't. The people who were following this guy, who believed in this guy, who thought this guy was bringing the end of days, this guy was bringing the liberation of Israel from the slavery of the Romans, this guy was bringing something incredible. Watching him, it's like the electric chair. He was killed in this incredibly shameful, incredibly painful way, with people laughing at him and pointing at him. He's such a great, powerful guy. Why can't he come down from the cross? Utter despair. And even the people who followed him and loved him ran. They ran for their lives. Peter saying, I never saw this guy in my life, because he didn't want to get arrested and killed, right? So they even realized that even the people who loved him were not up to standing with him. Now listen, I know about despair. In my youth, I had terrible problems for a while, and I despaired. And I wrote about this in my memoir, The Great Good Thing. And it was funny, when I wrote The Great Good Thing, which was about my conversion to Christianity, I was shocked to find out how many times on the page I could see that God was standing right next to me, speaking to me through some person. And so often the person would be named Christ or Kristen or Christiane, something. I was so stupid. I thought, how did I miss that? How did I miss that he was right there? And the answer is the same thing, the culture. I was a Jewish guy from the coast. I was an artist. I worked in New York. I worked in LA. I worked in London. I worked in the places where people simply do not say, oh, yes, That's obviously about God. Oh, yes, God wants us to do this. And so I didn't know. I couldn't see. You can't see what you're looking at. I wrote a piece the other day of talking about an experiment they did where you're told to look at a guy passing a basketball. And in the middle of this, a guy in a gorilla suit runs through and nobody saw him because they were not looking for him. That is a society we live in now. We are looking at something else, something we're told to look at. And the guy in the gorilla suit, we're not seeing him. And the guy in the gorilla suit is God. So how do you find him so that you're not in despair? Because terrible things happen in the world, and conservatives happen to be given to despair. After the crucifixion, two followers of Christ were walking on the road to Emmaus, and Christ appeared beside them, and they didn't recognize him because after his resurrection, a lot of people didn't recognize him. And he took the Bible and he explained to them how the Bible, the Old Testament, this is the Jewish Bible, predicted he was coming. He took their book, he took their oldest traditions, he took their deepest religious beliefs and showed them how they all pointed to him. And then they broke bread with him. And the minute they broke bread, because that was the first communion, essentially, well, it was not the first because the Last Supper was, but it was the first communion after the resurrection. They saw him, they recognized him in the breaking of the bread as we do today when we take communion. Many of you want to get a Helix mattress so you have something comfortable to sleep on, but that's because you're weak. I lie awake all night thinking deep thoughts, and that's why I especially love my Helix mattress, because I'm not asleep and I can experience all that comfort. One thing I've loved about my Helix mattress is how well it does with temperature regulation, which really eases some of those annoying middle-of-the-night wake-ups. Plus, it's easy to connect to other wearable devices so you can actually see the data to back up your sleep improvements. What makes Helix different is they don't just sell you a random mattress, they actually match you with the perfect one for your body and sleep style. Whether you're a side sleeper, back sleeper, or like me, a non-sleeper, they've got you covered. And trust me, when you find the right match, you'll wonder how you ever slept or lay awake on anything else. Right now is actually the perfect time to upgrade your sleep because Helix is running a great spring savings event. Go to helixsleep.com/Klavan to get 20% off site-wide. That's a good deal. helixsleep.com/Klavan. You get 20% off site-wide. Don't put it off any longer. Start sleeping better or lying awake better tonight at helixsleep.com/Klavan. Going back to the great works, the reason I talk about our literature, our art, Shakespeare, the reason I write a book like The Kingdom of Cain, where I talk about the movies that we see, is because all good art, all good true stories, all true stories will lead you back to God, every single one of them. And we should look at those stories. We've been taught, I could go on about this forever, but I won't. The way they teach literature, the way they talk about movies, the way critics talk about movies, they never talk about how the presence of God is revealed in any true movie. And in The Kingdom of Cain, I take movies like Psycho and Silence of the Lambs, like I said at the beginning, I take movies where you think like, no, there's no sight of him. And I show you, yes, there is. There is something to learn about God in all of these things. So this is the day on which we remember that sometimes we lose hope. And conservatives, I've been saying this ever since I got mixed up with you crazy conservatives. I've been saying that conservatives are the first people, because you become a conservative because you see how delicate the social fabric is. You see how any thread that comes loose could make the whole suit fall apart. And yet, as Burke taught us, we have to believe in change because change will come. And so what Burke said is we want change according to our traditions. We want our traditions to move into modernity with us. That is the whole idea of conservatism. Don't let things go, but move into the new world. But conservatives, because they can see how the suit can fall apart from one loose thread, they immediately think it's over. You listen to them. Listen to yourself sometimes. You'll say, like, it's done. This country's done. Everything's done. Oh, my God. Now they're done. Oh, Lord. Oh, my Lord. Oh, Obama's elected. We're finished. It's never finished. It is never, ever finished because the things that we are trying to defend are eternal. The things that we are trying to defend are eternal values. And so to women who've despaired of creating life and finding marriage and finding love and building a home and being what in their secret heart they want to be, not what society has told them they want to be. To men who have given up on searching for honor, who's sitting around scrolling through thinking, well, I'm struggling with my addiction instead of stopping watching that garbage, and that have forgotten their decency and have forgotten their responsibility to love and protect women instead of listening to clowns like Andrew Tate telling you that you can dominate them and hurt them, which is true, by the way, but not what you want to do if you are a true man. Remember that despair, this is the message of Good Friday, despair is a form of ignorance. Giving up on the best things in your life is a form of ignorance. And it sounds like wisdom because it shows us the ugly truth of the world, but it blinds us to Easter. It blinds us to the beauty of heaven, which is visible in the beauty of the world. And in heaven, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. And to anyone out there who has given up on the hope of heaven, let me tell you this: the man on the middle cross says you can come. For more great stuff, like and subscribe. And for even more, subscribe to The Andrew Klavan Show, wherever you get your podcasts.